Hello, I'm CJ Werleman, and in this episode, we reveal how Trump's missile strikes against Iran have not only completely backfired, but also brought Israel to the brink of extinction. But first, please remember to like and subscribe to our show. Now let's get into it. After Iran fired a salvo of ballistic missiles at one of the most fortified US military bases in the world, and only after Tehran warned the strikes were coming in retaliation for the US bombing of Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend, Trump took to social media on Monday to announce a ceasefire had been reached between the United States, Iran, and Israel, even though no official ceasefire actually exists. Here's Israel bombing Tehran 20 minutes after Trump's so-called ceasefire went into effect. This online meme perfectly captures the stupid logic that sits within Trump's buffoonish brain. Iran, after being attacked unprovoked, is suddenly not going to grant Israel or the United States the luxury of unilaterally defining the terms of peace. And if Trump knew anything about Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan, then he would know that wars rarely go the way the Americans think they will. The enemy gets a vote as well.
با این هدف مشروع ایران هستند. آمریکا با این اقدامی که انجام داد علیه ایران و حریم هوایی ایران را شکست و جنایت علیه ایران انجام داد دیگه جایی در منطقه غرب آسیا نداره. آقای رئیس جمهور آمریکا شما شروع کردید و ما تمومش خواهیم کرد.
Israel has absolutely zero desire to curtail its genocidal and homicidal activities in the region. It needs perpetual war to keep its enemies in a state of chaos, and it must continue to dispossess, displace, and kill in order to keep its Greater Israel project alive and well. We are talking about Israel, a criminal enterprise that doesn't even know what a ceasefire means, having committed at least 962 ceasefire violations in the first phase of its ceasefire agreement with Hamas in Gaza, and having also committed 2,740 ceasefire violations against Lebanon. Hezbollah mistakenly took Israel on its word, and now Hezbollah is gone. To trust the Zionist regime is to put your life in immediate and direct danger. There's just no bargaining with thieves.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
And while Iran may seek permanent peace with the United States, it knows that it can no longer coexist with Israel. Even though the two countries and the US have cooperated together in the past, with Israel arming Iran during the 1980s and Iran helping the US invade Iraq and Afghanistan in the early 2000s. But today, after unprovoked Israeli and American attacks, there's no going back to this past, and certainly not while the Iranian regime smells Zionist blood in the water. Israel is now cloaked in the stench of its inevitable defeat. You see, Tehran knows that the Zionist regime is running desperately low of interceptor missiles for its overly hyped air defense system. Compounding Israeli woes is the fact that Iranian ballistic and hypersonic missiles have completely overwhelmed Iron Dome, leading to unprecedented and widespread destruction throughout Israel's major cities, from Tel Aviv to Haifa to Beersheba. Israelis are finally getting a taste of their own medicine. Iron Dome's failures, along with its dwindling supply of interceptor missiles, is why the Iranian regime now sees Israel as a weakened and vulnerable foe. And whereas Israel has only days or weeks of ammunition, the Iranian military has enough ammo to rain waves of missiles down on Tel Aviv every day for 6 consecutive months, and that's without Chinese or Russian assistance.
عملیات برادران شما در هوافضا قطع نمیشه و آسایش رو از صهیونیست گرفته. ولی الحمدلله ما دیدیم که بمباران ها و هر چی روزها میگذرد انسجام مردم بیشتر میشه. این یک عنایت الهی هست.
More concerning for Israel is that American and Israeli leaders concede they don't know if Trump's airstrikes successfully knocked out Iran's stockpile of near-bomb-grade nuclear material. These fears were compounded by independent assessments which found zero damage to critical infrastructure at Iran's nuclear sites. But even more ominous for the Jewish state is Russia's prediction that weapons-grade uranium enrichment will continue and that many other states are now willing and able to supply Iran with its nuclear needs. That's right, by allowing Israel to bomb Tehran, Trump has pushed the Iranian regime to go nuclear. It has no choice but to pursue the bomb because it has no reason to trust Israeli and American negotiators. Iran is now understandably convinced it needs nukes for its own survival and needs them now. You see, there was a good reason Genocide Joe gave Ukraine enough weapons to defend themselves against Russian invasion, but not enough weapons to ultimately win the war. And that's because Biden understood that if you push Putin or any nuclear-armed regime into a corner, with its very survival on the line, then it will not hesitate to use nukes as a weapon of last resort or when it has nothing else to lose. Trump and Israel have forced Iran into that very bunker of that last resort by carpet bombing the Persian country and decapitating much of its top leadership. It's now rushing to build a self-defensive nuclear bomb in a scenario reminiscent of North Korea's defiance against the US. A renowned nuke weapons expert says Iran has retained 400 kilograms of weapons-grade uranium and has enough infrastructure to transform this into 9 bombs within a 5-month timeframe. And this doesn't take into account the real potential that Iran has successfully kept the location of other sites a secret.
The problem the United States and Israel have is Iran almost certainly has materials and equipment whose location we don't know about. So I've heard a lot this evening about the success of the attacks and how about the United States and Israel have destroyed facilities. But the problem that we now face is we haven't destroyed knowledge, we haven't destroyed materials, and we haven't destroyed equipment. And I don't think this attack has set Iran back nearly so far as some of the suggestions have indicated.
The Iranian regime, if it's smart, will continue to target Israel and prolong the conflict to drain the Israeli military, Israeli economy, and the will of the Israeli people. Tehran knows that Israel faces its own crises. After more than 600 days of genocide in Gaza, as the Israeli economy collapses into a Great Depression, as diplomatic isolation takes a heavy toll, and as political divisions deepen. But on the flip side, the Iranian regime faces no real or viable political opposition due to its repressive and authoritarian rule. And then there's the fact that Israeli and American airstrikes have succeeded only in bonding the regime with the Iranian people. Tehran understands clearly that the longer this war goes on, the stronger Iran grows and the weaker Israel becomes. The irony could not be greater, because whereas Israel and the US are jointly remaking the Middle East through extreme violence, it will be a nuclear-armed Iranian regime that will have the final say on what the region looks like. And to borrow a silly line from the movie Dirty Dancing, nobody puts a nuke-armed regime into a corner, which is exactly what Israel and the United States have done to Iran through their arrogance and stupidity. As a result, it's now highly probable that Israel will pay the ultimate price for American hubris and violence, the ultimate price being an Iranian nuke detonated in downtown Tel Aviv. But let me finish with this message to my colleagues in the media. Please stop citing invalid data to claim 50 or 60,000 Palestinians have been murdered in Gaza, certainly not when a new study by Harvard University has found that Israel's genocidal operations have cut the Palestinian population from 2.2 million to 1.8 million since the end of 2023, with women and children accounting for 75% of the 374,000 dead. Please never lose sight of Gaza while Israel and Iran are doing their thing. But that's my time for today. Thanks for watching, and please remember to subscribe to this channel, and we kindly ask you please support our effort to expose and confront injustices in the Muslim world by becoming a member of this show at patreon.com/CJWerleman. We can't produce, sustain and grow this show without your help, and we offer exclusive benefits to those who do. But for now, good night, good morning, wherever you are, and stay blessed.